Live to Slindelo Masigani now, who is in the courtroom in Pretoria, in the High Court in Pretoria, to just give us more details. Slee, so much drama for 2 hours. Now we're seeing that the decorum is being questioned in terms of Advocate Malesela Defoe's behavior in court.
Yeah, Maseko, I don't think any of us have ever seen anything of that sort that has just transpired in the past 30 or so minutes. In fact, from as early as this morning when Advocate Defoe started making his submissions around some of the issues that he's been raising, he took us back to a bit of a historical lesson about docket 636 and 375 and how they came about and how we got in possession of the dockets, and it went on and on and on. And I think at some point the judge was really expecting the state prosecutor as well as Advocate Mshololo for accused number 5 to interject at some point. As the judge presiding over the matter, he simply just sat there and listened. But at some point we heard then from State Prosecutor Advocate George Baloyi saying, surely we need to get back to why we came to court today, which was to discuss dates around postponements and the trial resuming later on this year, or possibly a block-in date for next year as well. And at that point, the judge then raised that, but we've been sitting here for 2 hours. Why have you not raised this objection earlier than this, so that we could actually get back to why we're here in court today? And this is when we had a number of allegations coming from Advocate Defoe around corruption within the NPA. And at some point, the judge then telling Advocate Defoe that, look, you keep on going on about how your client's constitutional rights are being infringed on, but at this point, you're also guilty of that similar issue, telling him that he's wasting the court's time with these side issues and applications that are not being brought formally. So at the point where we were about to adjourn for lunch, we then saw Advocate Defoe accusing his colleagues, that's the state prosecutor and Advocate Mshololo, as not being learned. And that is when we saw instructing Attorney Titi Tobane interjecting, saying that they need to consult with their clients. It was very bizarre, Maseko, and at that point, that is when we adjourned for lunch.
Extremely bizarrely, especially because he has been told so many times that what he's bringing forth to court is actually evidence that he, as an attorney or an advocate, is not supposed to bring. He's supposed to cross-examine or bring through a witness or proper processes. But let's talk about, there was another adjournment at some point. Lieutenant Colonel Fourie apparently asking the state for the addresses of the accused. Can you just explain that further for us a bit?
Yeah, so that was something that also came up just after the tea break. And Advocate Defoe stood up to address the judge to say, look, there is a member of the SAPS here, a Lieutenant Colonel Fourie, who is requesting information on his clients in terms of their names, their addresses, some of their particulars as well. And we know what happened a couple of weeks ago here inside the North Gauteng High Court, where Advocate Malesela Defoe was arrested in full view of cameras, and Advocate Defoe saying this act right now, this Lieutenant Colonel Fourie has been brought by generals of the SAPS, even naming Begicele as one of those who has instructed this officer to come here to get these particulars, as a form of intimidation once more against himself as well as his clients, even at some point suggesting that he should address the courts, this particular officer. That is when Judge Maumela stopped him and said, look, I think you and the state as well as Mshololo can engage on this and then report back to me, give me a report of some sort. But he does not want to entertain this any further, just wanting to get back to the business of why we're inside court, but saying that it does concern him given what had happened to Advocate Malesela Defoe. But you can see, Maseko, we are in about half an hour into our lunch break, and we have Defoe as well as Tobane consulting. Mshololo as well is inside the courtroom. They have not left. But at this point, once we resume at 2 o'clock, this is when we're expecting to really get back to the issues that brought us here around resuming the trial sometime later this year. And you would remember a lot of legal experts have actually been saying that we are in the middle of cross-examination by Advocate Mshololo, and these applications that are being brought by Advocate Defo should not be entertained because it's unfair in terms of the process, the legal process that should be unfolding. Even Advocate Mshololo at some point has been asking for protection from the court to be able to continue with her cross-examination.
All right, Slindile Masigane in the High Court in Pretoria with that report. Let's leave it there for now. Hopefully, as they consult, he's instructing attorney T.T. Tobani. I hope he is actually giving advice to his colleague, Advocate Malesela Defo, in terms of decorum in court and allowing your colleague or giving your colleague the respect to finish with their part of proceedings, because you too were given that chance as well.